Hot news: part of President Trump's base turns against him over shutdown. Macomb County, Michigan. 2 years ago.
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.